I could talk about MLPs all day.
All right, so we want to talk about a sector you're really positive on, and you mentioned MLPs, so give us a little more information.
Sure. Well, first of all, a caveat. They've had a great run so far this year. I mean, as much as the U.S. stock market is up, they're up almost double the S&P this year, but they had a tough year last year, so there's a little bit of catch-up being played right now. But still, if you think about a couple of the trends that came up at this conference and were reiterated repeatedly, the energy boom in the United States, and that's real. And years ago, 3-4 years ago, I was out talking about this shale gas thing. People were pretty cynical that it was as big a deal as it's turned out to be. And then a year ago saying, hey, it's not just shale gas, it's shale oil too. We're also finding tremendous amounts of oil domestically. And you heard at the conference that pretty much all these brilliant people think that the U.S. is going to be energy independent in the next 10 years. That may be a little stretch, but North American independent, between U.S., Canada, Mexico. So the companies that are in the game of gathering these assets, I mean, you don't just drill a well and think, oh gosh, that's it. I mean, that's the beginning of it. It has to travel all the way from that well to either your home or to your car or to a utility, so that those companies that operate along that, what's called the midstream energy chain, are in a phenomenally strong position. And they've done really well. This is not like we're Christopher Columbus here. I mean, this ship has been sailing for a while, but we don't think it's end game by any means. And if you think about this migration, another big theme talked about at this conference, with the Govs being big proponents of, you want to think about where are the Japanese going with this money. Where's it going to reside as it comes out of Japan? And I do think that yield instruments are very appealing to the Japanese that are looking at interest rates that are down and going to stay down, and a currency that's weakening. So if they can get 6% yields, which is what a lot of the MLPs offer, even with the appreciation they've had, 6% in this world that we're talking about is awfully attractive. And then they do raise their distributions, kind of in the 4 to 6 to 7% range each year. So they even provide protection against the David Rosenberg stagflation fears. So it's, but I would caution that they're not unlike the stock market. They do have volatility. So you want to be a little careful at your entry points, and they have been pretty strong. But I do think, as far as like David was saying about consumer staples, yeah, they're expensive, but they're expensive for a reason. And I wouldn't say MLPs are expensive, but they're not on the bargain counter right now.
Now, the term MLP is a pretty wide description. Can you drill down into a little more specifics on what type of MLPs you like the best?
Well, that's a good question, because there's a number of them I said earlier that have been the sector's changed. It's not the pure midstream energy companies anymore. You've now got producers that are in the MLP world, and we're not as comfortable there because you've got commodity risk. They work hard to hedge that, but still the hedges roll off over time. So we prefer those that are involved with particularly the natural gas boom, because we unquestionably have enormous amounts of natural gas, and where their pipelines are well situated, because natural gas pipelines are not necessarily a winning bet. They have to be located in the right area. Some of the new basins, for example, like the Marcellus in the Pennsylvania area, that's a great place to be. Pipelines coming out of there. I think, and also some of the oil pipelines are well situated. So, for example, the Seaway pipeline, which is going to run, instead of running from the Gulf Coast up, which is the way it used to be, because there's so much oil now trapped in Middle America at Cushing, to get that oil down to the Gulf Coast. That's why there's such a big gap between West Texas Intermediate and Brent crude, is because we've been so pipeline constrained. And that's why you've got Warren Buffett making money, hand over fist, because he's railing it, and railing is much more expensive than piping it. But there is so it depends on where the pipes are. In some cases, pipes are needed desperately to relieve these bottlenecks. In other cases, there's overcapacity. So they're not all winners.
Thank you.